The discriminant b squared minus 4ac, again, is the square root part of your quadratic formula. If the square root part of your quadratic formula is greater than 0, what's another word for greater than 0? Doesn't that mean positive? If the square root part of the quadratic formula is less than 0, another word for less than 0 is negative. And then if it equals 0, it has characteristics. The characteristic of your answers, if it is positive, your answers will be 2 real solutions. If you get this, your answer will have 2 real solutions. If it is negative, meaning there's a negative inside of the square root, all of a sudden your answer has 2 imaginary solutions. Another way of saying that, instead of 2 imaginaries, do you understand it's also 0 real solutions? You can do either way. It's either 2 imaginary or 0 real solutions. Okay. If they're imaginary, that means if you get a negative inside the square root, you're basically going to have no real solutions. So if we didn't have imaginaries around, you couldn't solve it. But with imaginaries, you actually can. And if the b squared minus 4ac equals 0, you have 1 real solution. 1 real solution. Now, what does all that mean? Well, if you were to graph something, if you had an equation graphed and you're trying to find the zeros, the graph for 2 real solutions, I'll show you what this would look like. If you have a graph here, it takes a little bit to see it, but if you have a graph of a parabola, do you understand these are your zeros? Do you understand this hits twice? The zeros are kind of like the solutions to a quadratic formula, quadratic equation. This has 2 real solutions. What would no real solutions look like? They look like this. Does that ever cross the x-axis? If you have a graph that never crosses, it has 2 imaginary solutions or 0 real. It never hits the x-axis. The last one here, in this situation, what happens, the picture looks like this. It comes down and hits once, where the vertex is right there on the x-axis. When I say how many solutions, if you think of it as a picture, and zeros are the x-intercepts, this has 2 hits, this has no hits, this has 1 hit of the x-axis. That's a visual of what this is saying. Let me describe it some more. Basically, here's your equation. I want to find out how many solutions this has. That's the question they asked, just how many solutions. Does it have 2, none, or 1? Well, all we do is you take the b squared minus 4ac. So we're going to take 10 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 2. You just take those values, and then you got to see what you get. And all you care is it positive, negative, or 0. That's all you care about. So that's 100 plus 8. Do I have to go any farther? Do you know it's positive? Do you understand this is 108? So that's positive. So how many solutions would it be? Which one will it be? It will be a graph. This would have a graph. If that was a y right there, where 0 is, it would be a graph that hits twice. If you solve it, you'll have 2 solutions. Okay, look at this one. Oh, we're not ready to solve it first. First we have to actually add the 9 over. Got it over. Now we do b squared minus 4ac. So to do b squared minus 4ac, we got 8 squared, 8 is b, minus 4, a is 1, and c is 16. Looks like we have 64, and then what's, negative 4 times 16? Let's see, what's 4 times 16? It's 24. 64. Now, if it's negative 4 times 16, so it would be negative 64? What's my answer? Isn't that 0? What did it say here when it equals 0? It's one solution. It hits once. So this is 1. Actually, I should be putting the word real. I probably should put the word real here. One real solution. This is 2. This is 1. Okay. Is this one ready to go? Yeah. We just do b. b is 1. So b squared minus 4a is negative 2, and c is negative 7. b squared minus 4ac, a, b, c. Looks like 1, and then you got negative 8. So this becomes positive 8, right? Negative 4 times negative 2, positive 8. Positive 8, which is positive 8 times negative 7. Is that negative 56? Yeah. So what's 1 minus 56? So wouldn't this be imaginary? Because wouldn't the square root part of the quadratic formula be negative? Which means I have either 0 real solutions, there's 2 ways to say it, or 2 imaginary solutions. Either way works. So again, if your answer is negative, there's no solutions, no real. If it's 0, it's 1, and if it's positive, it's 2. The questions basically just ask how many solutions. You don't have to solve it, you just have to say how many. And you can picture it as a graph. This is what the graph would look like. If the 0 was a y on all these equations, and you had a graph of it, it would show you how many times it crosses the x-axis.